We're gonna make jollof rice.
We're gonna make jollof rice.
I went from cooking jollof rice once in 6 months to once every single week. And that's because I've really taken the time to perfect this recipe. I've learned from so many people. I've tried various recipes and I just kept trying them on my own till I perfected this one that I'm really proud of. And if you are interested in knowing all the tips and tricks, if you're always cooking jollof rice and it never really turns out how you want it, I think this recipe might be exactly what you're looking for. Let's just get into it. The process of making jollof rice can be divided into 2 stages. 1. Cooking the pepper base, and 2. Cooking your washed rice in the pepper base. For jollof rice, I really like to build the flavors from the get-go, and you see it in the techniques I use. For this recipe, we will be cooking 2 cups of rice, which can feed 4 people as a side dish and 2 people if you really like rice. So we'll start with the ingredients for the pepper-based sauce. For the pepper base, we will use 2 bell peppers, 1 pointy pepper, at least that's what it's sometimes called here in the UK, 1 onion, 3 cloves of garlic, and 1 small piece of ginger. Now, even if you don't like spice, jollof rice doesn't taste like jollof rice without a little bit of heat. So for this recipe, I'm going to be using a small piece of scotch bonnet pepper, or you can use habanero. Please don't use the whole thing. It was indicated on this pack the level of heat, so it's best to stay safe. We're going to deseed them and roast them in the oven. Usually you can go ahead to blend the ingredients right away without roasting, but I've compared both methods and the roasting method comes out on top every single time. And don't forget, we're building the flavor. I throw everything in a tray, add cooking oil and place in the oven for 40 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius. Sometimes I turn up the heat in the last 1 minute so they burn just a little bit. While that's in the oven, let's start preparing the other things we'll need. To season the pepper-based sauce, we will need half a tablespoon of thyme and curry. I also used the Knorr chicken seasoning cube. You can use any seasoning cube. This is just my preferred for jollof rice. So for the measurement, I use 1 pack per cup of rice. Like 1 pack of Knorr chicken seasoning cube to 1 cup of rice. So since we're cooking 2 cups of rice, I'll use 2 packs for this recipe, which is equivalent to 1.5 tablespoons of seasoning if you're using the one in powdered form. I will also add a 1/4 spoon of salt and some ginger and garlic powder. Give that a good mix and set it aside. While our peppers are still in the oven, we can move on to our rice. Now I'm using the Golden Sellar basmati rice. Now the rice you use for jollof is very important. So if you're trying this recipe for the very first time, you're making jollof rice for the very first time, I recommend getting this brand of rice for your first try. And then you can try other ones in the future. So make sure to wash your rice until the water is clear and not cloudy. I washed this about 5 times. And this is what we have. Once your rice is washed, you can then set it aside. Now we're getting ready for the pepper base. To give your jollof rice that reddish, orangish color and that unique taste, you need some tomato puree. I usually do 1 tablespoon to 1 cup of rice. That's how I measure how much tomato puree I need in my recipe. So for this recipe, we'll be using 2 tablespoons of tomato puree. So have that set aside. I also like to cut half an onion in rings and dice the other half. You see what we're going to use them for. Ring ring, your 40 minutes is up. Now if your blender is heat resistant, start transferring those vegetables into the blender and blend them up. If not, please wait for it to cool down before transferring. Now it's time to get to the burner. I like to use a large pot so I can fry a lot of things at once because we're really trying to build the flavor. We're trying to fry all of our puree and seasoning in cooking oil before we bring in our blended pepper mix. Now at this point, you'll be very tempted to walk away from the pot, but I encourage you to stay right there because things can burn very fast at this point. You need to pay special attention to the tomato puree. It's the culprit. It tends to burn very fast. So just keep stirring it around. Don't leave it on its own for too long. When they start to all heat up, I stir them together. Leave it for a few seconds and then come back to it again. Don't forget, don't leave it at any point. This will take about 5 minutes. You'll know it's well fried when the paste has taken up most of the oil and is now darker in color compared to when you first put the puree in the pot. Frying the puree helps take away the sourness, so don't skip this step. It can completely change the outcome of your jollof rice. Now that that's done, we'll bring in the blended sauce. Give it a good stir and then let them fry together for about another 5 minutes. After that, it's time to bring in the star of the show, our washed rice. Pour that in. And mix them together. This lets me see that my pepper base is enough and helps me know how much water I need to add to the rice. Most times, instead of water, I will use chicken or beef stock to cook the rice. I particularly love beef stock for this recipe, but I don't have any of that at this point, so I'll just pour in some boiling water. So don't let the stock stop you. If all you have is your water, let's use the boiling water. You don't need a lot of water, just enough to slightly submerge the rice. If you put too much water, it will end up soggy. So it's better to have less water than more water, as it's the steam that will do the magic of the cooking. Now to trap the steam in there, I'm going to cover this with foil paper, or you can use parchment paper, which is safer. Use the shining part upwards and the duller part inwards. Cook on medium-low heat. If you cook on high, you burn the entire thing. Remember that there isn't much water in there, so you want to keep it really low. In 10 minutes, it should have soaked up most of the sauce. I'll check to see it's not already burning. Flip it from top to bottom so the bottom comes up and vice versa. Check it again after another 10 minutes. If it's burning, make sure to not pick up the burnt part. I like to throw in some sliced onion and tomatoes. At this point, you can also check for salt and just adjust the taste to your liking. Give it another 20 minutes. You know it's ready when it's soft enough. None of the grains will be white. And it's okay if your jollof rice burns a little. If it's burning too much, however, it means the heat is too much. So choose patience. You don't want all your hard work going to waste by turning up the heat. And with that, your jollof rice is ready.
Yeah,
Just being, you know.
I'm like cutting down on food waste. No, I need to
Alright.
advance with my
One word. Oh, nice. One word.
Delicioso.
One word.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. It
Cool.
kills me.
One word.
one word. Amazing.
Amazing.
Flavorful.
Flavorful.
No words.
No words. No,
Speechless.
no words is.
Everyone say Chop TV.
Chop TV.